Good morning, everyone. Hope you all are safe and studying well. Let's come back to the chapter control and coordination by recalling all the topics that we studied in our previous class, that is introduction part and animal nervous system. So now let us study about human brain. Isn't it such an interesting topic, children, to know our own brain and its function? Okay, let's study this. We know that nerve cells send the signals from the organs to the brain. Then the brain does all the thinking process and passes the information back to the organs. So from this we can say that brain is the main coordinating organ in our body. But what about reflex action? They are coordinated by a spinal cord. Know the difference? We say brain is the main coordinating organ. Wherein coming to reflex action, they are coordinated by spinal cord. So we can say that both brain as well as spinal cord play a very important role in a nervous system. This brain and spinal cord are very delicate organs that is there in our body. And you can see in the picture. So here a brain is protected by a cranium box, that is a protective layer called as cranium box. I repeat, it is protected by a cranium box. And coming to spinal cord, it is protected by a vertebral column. Okay, this is meant for protection. What is the protection for brain? That is cranium box. Wherein for vertebral, spinal cord, that is vertebral column. There are two forms of nervous system. One is central nervous system or CNS. It is a short form, that is CNS. Other one is peripheral nervous system or PNS. You should remember these two and their difference. Okay. Let us see what is CNS. Brain and spinal cord together form a central nervous system. Here central nervous system, in the sense you should remember there is a presence of brain and spinal cord, they are functioning together. Wherein coming to peripheral nervous system, it is a remaining part of nervous system, or you can define it as peripheral nervous system is a part of nervous system. It is just a part of nervous system which consists of a nerve cell, but it is outside the brain and spinal cord. So this is the difference. Okay, let us see a brief about the PNS, that is peripheral nervous system. PNS consists of a nerves arising from a brain are called cranial nerves. You may get for 1 mark question, that is what is cranial nerves. So you should be able to define it as peripheral nervous system which consists of a nerves arising from a brain. So imagine a brain and the nerves are arising from a brain. That type of nerves are said to be cranial nerves. The nerve arising from spinal cord are called spinal nerves. So you can uh, easily remember this. What is spinal nerves? Name itself will tell. The nerves which are arising from a spinal cord, that are spinal nerves. Now you are able to differentiate between cranial nerves and spinal nerves. Cranial, in the sense you should remember it is a brain. Okay. Next. And then it connects this cranial and spinal nerves to all parts of a body. So it can be said that the main function of PNS is to connect the CNS to all sensory organs. Understood? Now, the next slide, we'll see the structure of the brain. Yeah, coming to the structure of the brain, very important diagram for exam point of view. So I want each and everyone to practice this diagram at least for 5 times with a good labeling. And in this particular picture, you see extra labelings are there. I want everyone to concentrate on the diagram which is there in the book. Okay, that is in your textbook. So that is very important. And that much labeling is enough for exam point of view. Okay, coming to the structure of the brain, here you can see outermost brain is said to be cranium or skull. So as I said in a previous slide, cranium is a protective layer of a brain. It is also called as skull. And it is said to be a bony box. Just touch your upper head and feel how hard the skull is. So this protects the brain. And there is a fluid which is present inside it, so which helps in a shock absorption. Okay, just know the function of cranium or a skull. Next, I'll be explaining the parts of brain in our next slides. Here, give more importance on the structure of brain. Okay. So coming to three major parts of brain. First is forebrain, next is midbrain, and next is hindbrain. So three main parts you have to remember in the brain, that is forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. So in this picture easily you can make out where is the presence of these main parts. See, forebrain, it is a forwardmost part of a brain. See, it is a part where it is being pointed here. This is a part that is said to be forebrain. And midbrain, midbrain name itself will tell it is a middle part, midbrain. And hindbrain, so below the midbrain, that is a region said to be hindbrain. So in the next slides we will see each and every part in detail and its function. Okay, coming to very first main part of a brain, that is forebrain. Name itself says that is forwardmost part of a brain, and it is also a largest part which consists of a two main part, that is hypothalamus and cerebrum. So this forebrain helps in thinking. So thinking is done in this particular part, and also it receives a sensory impulses from different sensory receptors. As I said in previous class, for two examples of sensory receptors, one is gustatory receptor and other is olfactory receptor. So where is gustatory receptor is present? It is present in the taste buds of a tongue. And what about the olfactory receptor? It is present in the nose to sense the smell. So these all impulses it receives and it processes them and sends them back. It has a separate area for hearing, smelling, seeing, hunger, etc. So for example, when you're so hungry, you feel like eating a food. So you won't be eating from morning till evening continuously. You know when to start and when to stop. This is controlled by a brain, that to a very first part of a brain, that is forebrain. Also, it has a areas where the sensory information from all the receptors is put together and is interpreted. So it receives all sensory information from all the sensory receptor. It receives the information and it is put together, then it is interpreted, then it is separated. This information is then transferred to motor area of a forebrain, where the main thinking is done. Understand this point. So we have various sensory receptors from five sense organs. Okay, it collects all the information together and put it at one place, and then it is interpreted. After interpreted, what happens? This information is transferred to motor area of a forebrain, that is where actually the main thinking is done. So this is overall function of a forebrain and its function. Okay, coming to the second main part, that is midbrain. So in the picture you can see where exactly the midbrain has been focused. Just neglect the brainstem, concentrate on a midbrain. So this is a region where the midbrain is present. Name itself says it is a middle part of the brain. So what is the function of this midbrain, which involves the activities like sleep, wakefulness, pain perception, etc. So when you see a bright light or a bright sun, you can't open your eyes for a longer time. Okay, so the change in the size of a pupil of your eye, that is also a function done in a midbrain. Okay, This much explanation is enough for a midbrain. They may ask what is the difference between a forebrain or a midbrain. Okay, you should be able to explain with the function and where is the region present. So with these two functions you can differentiate. Okay, coming to third main part of a brain, that is hindbrain. So it is bit complicated compared to two main parts, because here you can see it also consists of three main parts and its function. So focus more on hindbrain. Okay, here this hindbrain consists of three parts, that is pons, medulla oblongata and cerebellum. Okay, remember these three main parts under hindbrain. So it controls the vital functioning of our body, like breathing, digestion, controlling heartbeat, blood pressure, all involuntary process, so which are not under our control. The involuntary process or involuntary functioning like breathing, digestion, control of a heartbeat, blood pressure, etc. All these actions which are not in control of our will are said to be involuntary actions. All the actions which are in control of our will are said to be voluntary action. You are very much aware of difference between a voluntary action and involuntary action. This is done in this part of the brain. Here you should understand three main parts and the function of a hindbrain. Okay. As we studied about the brain that senses the processed information to the nerve cell, which in turn senses them to the muscle tissue in our body, which causes these movements. So in this picture, you can see biceps of a man. Okay, here I'm focusing on a muscles. Okay, but the question is, how do these muscle cells move? Is still unanswered, right? So how do these muscle cells move? So what exactly happens within the muscle cells or a tissue? The notion is that these muscle cells moves because of their change in the shape, and this change in their shape is caused by a special protein present in them. When these protein receives electrical impulses from the nerve cell, they change their shape and arrangements in the cell. And this change in the shape and arrangement of a protein present in a muscle cell is responsible for a muscular movement. So when you just bend your hand, you feel that your biceps are moving, right? So when you fold your hand, you see the muscles are moving, and it changes its shape and size. When you just relax your hand, you feel that there is a change of your muscles. So this is what actual function happens. I repeat, when muscle cell moves because of their change in shape, and this change in the shape is caused. How the change of a shape of a muscle is caused? Because of a special protein that is present in them. When this protein receives electrical impulses from a nerve cell, they change their shape and arrangements of a cell, and this change in shape and arrangement of a protein present in muscle cell are responsible for a muscular movement. Now let us have a quick recap of this topic, human brain. We learned that CNS, that is central nervous system, consists of the brain and the spinal cord, wherein peripheral nervous system, that is PNS, consists of nerve cells outside the brain and the spinal cord. And coming to structure of brain, brain is made up of three main parts, that is forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. Forebrain controls all the voluntary activities of the body, while midbrain and hindbrain controls all the involuntary activities or reflex action of our body. And next we studied how does nervous tissue cause action or muscular movement. When proteins in the muscles receives the electrical impulses from the nerves, they change their shape and arrangement in the cell. As a result, muscles move. Hope you guys understood the topic human brain, just revise once the previous presentation, that is about introduction and animal nervous system, and then you concentrate on this particular presentation. Then you will be able to understand clearly. Hope you followed the lesson. Thank you.